2016, a year full of gaming disappointments, setbacks, and failures. For today, I'm going to be naming you a few games that for me just missed the mark and were quite disappointing. But please do remember that this list contains, funnily enough, my own opinion. So feel free to comment down below all you want and tell me what games you thought were the most disappointing of 2016. But for now, let's get on with the list. So first up on this list is Mirror's Edge Catalyst, but before I get into that, let's talk a little bit about the first game and what I thought about it. You see, Mirror's Edge was, or actually rather still is, a fantastic game. During that time before the release of Mirror's Edge, I will start to get a little bit bored of your typical FPS experience. During that year we had Black Ops, Bad Company 2, and a few others, and I'm not knocking them games down because I really enjoyed them, but I wanted something new and fresh. So here comes Mirror's Edge, a game that felt so anti-FPS that I just had to pick it up. When I played it, I loved it. The tense cat and mouse gameplay between the cops and runners was thrilling, and not to forget, but the free running was fantastic, and the soundtrack and near enough everything else was just spot on. So let's now fast forward to 2013 when the new Mirror's Edge was announced under the title Mirror's Edge. So just from that, I was a little bit worried because leaving the name like that obviously suggests a soft reboot of some sort to the series, and whatever happened in the first game, well, it just doesn't matter anymore. Fast forward a little bit more and then I hear that the game is going to be open world, and that's when I really get bummed out because I know that having an open world for a game like Mirror's Edge would affect the story, the carefully constructed level design which was found in the first game, and much more. So the game gets released, and well, it was quite lackluster to say the least. Having an open world for a game like Mirror's Edge just introduced repetition, boring side missions, and so much more. The game walked away from what made Mirror's Edge a fantastic experience just because EA wanted to have an open world because that's what every game is doing these days. Just utterly disappointing. If you know anything about me, then you know I love horror games. Titles such as Silent Hill, Forbidden Siren, Outlast, and of course Resident Evil. Except this year, I had the displeasure of playing what has to be one of the biggest disappointments since Metal Gear Solid 5, and that is the game you're currently watching on screen right now, Umbrella Corps. Now, there was no doubt in my mind that this game was going to suck. It was obvious from the start and still is now. No glamorous trailer can try and fix that. Capcom couldn't even put the Resident Evil, name in the title of the game, knowing full well everyone would see past that. But a name isn't anything. It's nothing. The game is what matters, and the game is horrible. It's just a plain and simple fact. It's a stupidly bad multiplayer experience throughout. It just feels lazy. Seriously, just go watch a few reviews, watch a bit of gameplay, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, because it's stuff like this which just brings me down, because Resident Evil is a series I care very much about. Alright, now for the last and most obvious choice for my list, and as you can see, yep, it's No Man's Sky. Now, I'm not the first to say this, but I did not buy into the hype of this game at all. Want to know why? Well, I was one of the original backers of a little indie game known as Star Citizen. You may have heard of it. Now, that's a whole other can of worms I don't want to open, but let's just say I'm no longer interested in that project anymore, and I actually got a refund for it just a few months ago. Now, I love space games with a passion, but Star Citizen got me seriously burned out for a while, and when No Man's Sky appeared and the things that were promised from said game, I just didn't buy it, not for 1 second. Now, am I saying the game is completely horrible? No, of course not. But is it super disappointing? Yes. It was obvious from the start that Hello Games, the little indie company that made Joe Danger, would not be able to deliver on their promise for this expansive game. Hell, I doubt many game developers could, with the magnitude that No Man's Sky was attempting to offer to players. When I eventually sat down to play it, I was just so bored. It was one of the most casual space games I've ever experienced, and I yearned for something more, and I put quite a few hours into this game as well. Maybe in a year or two, if Sean Murray and co end up fixing and adding onto the foundations of No Man's Sky. Just maybe I'll give it another look. But for me, it's a complete waste of time and the biggest disappointment of this year. Hello viewers and welcome to the End Slate. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, but before I talk more, I first have to thank my two patrons who help support and power the creation of my videos via Patreon. So big thanks to Fungo and Ragnaroks in assisting myself and my YouTube channel. But let's see what two videos I have for you today. So, on the left is my previous video in which I tell you what my 3 favorite games are of this year, and on the right we have part 3 of Fungo and I's Bloodborne Let's Play. Really entertaining stuff, but let's get right to the important links. So, if you have any suggestions or want to see what I'm up to, then make sure to follow me on Twitter. If you want to keep up to date on my latest uploads, then subscribe for more. If you want to check out my Twitch page for whatever reason, then click in the link below. If you want to power the creation of my videos like Fungo and Ragnaroks do, then check out my Patreon. And if you have any other suggestions or questions, then please comment down below or even message me on Twitter. But as always, I'm the Friendly Bro, and thank you so much for watching.